Welcome to the Missing Ingredient Podcast with CJ Bruce, where food and beverage founders, operators, and experts share the real strategies behind building successful brands. Let's jump into today's show.
Hey, I'm CJ Bruce, and welcome to the show. This is the podcast for founders and leaders of high-impact food and beverage brands who are serious about scaling. Each episode, I sit down with the people who power the food and beverage industry, brand operators, agencies, vendors, creators, and retailers, to uncomplicate the strategies that take brands from early traction to serious scale. This episode is sponsored by The Missing Ingredient, a food and beverage marketing agency with over a decade in the industry. We take a different approach, starting with your business goals, looking at the full picture, and building a marketing strategy that actually ties back to growth. From content and performance marketing to influencer partnerships and AI-powered workflows, we're an extension of your team, not just another vendor. Learn more at themissingingredient.com. Now, before introducing today's guest, I want to give a shout out to Alex Jessup and Cameron Walt at Jessup PR, who introduced us. You can check them out at jessuppr.com. They specialize in media relations. Now, for today's guest, Aubrea Alford is a professional violinist, which I just learned in the pre-show research, turned a fractional marketing leader and founder of Starflower Marketing, where she helps purpose-driven and food and lifestyle brands grow with heart. With more than 12 years of experience in CPG, she has led brand strategy, innovation, and cross-functional growth initiatives for mission-driven companies. Aubrea believes the most powerful brands are built at the intersection of art and science, where storytelling, systems, and social impact work together to drive meaningful growth. Welcome to the show, Aubrea.
Thank you, CJ. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you here.
Me too.
So I got to start with the violin piece because that was news to me. We've spoken a few times. So curious, just that that transition point, right? Going from classical violin background, and then I think the story about you encountered Hope Foods or Hope Hummus, and can you talk a little bit about that? Like what made you make that transition, and what was that spark like for you?
Absolutely. So I still am playing professionally, but for the first 20 or so years of my life was dedicated musician and went on tour with a few bands. So I was doing the rock star lifestyle, shall we say, and would come home from tour and do random side jobs. So at the same time, a group of friends of mine were starting a hummus company, and it was just supposed to be fun. Just organic ingredients, fun flavors. And suddenly they were selling at the farmer's market, then Whole Foods wanted them. And so their business, Hope Hummus, became an actual business. And so they were like, oh my gosh, we're growing. we gotta do this thing. So in the meantime, one of my side jobs home from tour was doing demos for a company. And at the time, Hope Hummus, and back in that day and still now, demos were the marketing arm of the company. So I had demo experience and they reached out to me. I mean, they were my friends, so, just a text away, and asked if I would be interested in joining their demo program as managing the East Coast. And at first, the timing was right, because after about 10 years of the music lifestyle, it just kind of wears on you. I was feeling a little burnt out, and I thought, sure, let's give this a try. So transitioning to the 9-to-5 demo lifestyle, but really falling in love with that food and seeing the quality ingredients, seeing all the manufacturing processes we manufactured in-house. So we were really connected to the ingredients. We were really connected to the manufacturing process using HPP, taking people on tours, and really seeing the drive and the commitment of the company and the passion. And everyone was just learning. It was true startup nature. So there was an excitement, there was a vibrancy, and there was such a commitment of let's do this well. Let's really do what we can to do this well. And it was really exciting to become the #1 organic hummus in the nation. So we succeeded in that regard. And then how it came to be with a cause and social impact is we were really, this was back in maybe 2010, so 15 or so years ago, and it was very big to go to trade shows or to go to distributor shows and for people to ask, what's your mission? What cause do you support? And your name is Hope. What is your mission? And so we really struggled with that because we felt the pressure of, oh, you have to have a mission. Oh, you have to have a nonprofit you're supporting. Oh, you have to do like all of these things. And we took a few years, honestly, to really dig deep and find, we wanted it to be truly real for us and not just let's put our name on a nonprofit or let's just tell everyone that we're supporting this cause. We wanted it to be true, authentic, and shall we say organic, since we were organic food. And then a few years into that, our VP of operations lost his uncle to suicide. And that really impacted so many people in our company. And we realized, oh my gosh, this cause, this impacts so many people all across the world. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. What matters is like people's lives are being impacted. So then that took a few years of how do you connect hummus with mental health? So that was also a few years of process, and we started partnering with an organization out of Chicago. But people would still ask, well, how does hummus and mental health work together? So in that meantime, we had a new VP of marketing on the team, Nicole Pavlika, who is brilliant. She's been my marketing idol and my mentor. And she had an integrative health coaching degree that she brought to the team. And so we made this connection of, well, most of your serotonin is made in your gut. Therefore, truly what you eat does impact your mental health. So we were able to connect directly hummus to mental health support. So through that, we did a whole bunch of initiatives and ranging from digital, ranging from outreach. And it was really impactful for me to see, again, the organic growth and how this came to be truly in our DNA and not just a sticker to stick on as a cause, as a social impact, but it really became the DNA of our brand, and to see that through the leadership as well. So that was incredibly inspiring for me to grow up into and through and see the different waves and impacts of just those initiatives.
Yeah, that's great. That's super interesting how that came about, and just the development of that, and like taking the time to do it right. And then you said how it be connected, authentic, and then, coming out authentically, and then how does that connect to the product? It's really interesting. And we'll dig more into the impact piece too of what you do and what you're doing now. I want to dig in a little bit into the the kind of marketing growth and operational growth side of the business that you were in there. Like you said, they were your friends and kind of from the beginning. And so and feel free to take this in any direction you'd like, but I'm curious, what worked in that period from, founder-led intuition, and you're kind of selling in a small way, to scale. And I'm sure there were many challenges over that period. And, kind of operating that messy middle piece from like, we've got product market fit and now it's growing. And can you talk about that a little bit, and any kind of lessons learned from that?
Absolutely. So yes, absolutely. Yes, I'm trying to think of which one to start with, but essentially even, starting from, we were Colorado based. And so it was easy to ship refrigerated hummus across the state, right? All of Whole Foods, Rocky Mountain, and even into the neighboring states. And then once California picked us up, we realized our hummus was growing mold because we didn't have any preservatives. It was growing mold. It was having some issues. It had a very short shelf life. So, but we didn't want to compromise the integrity of the product. So we found high pressure processing, which at that time was primarily used for meat. And essentially we started high pressure processing our hummus. So it's this big tank of water that exerts, I can't remember, it's like 8,000 PSI. It's more intense than the ocean, and the pressure of the water onto the product bursts the molecules that create the bacteria. It's wild. So And the product is still in its packaging, but we had to have you have to have packaging that's strong enough to withhold that pressure. But essentially it enabled us to have this fresh product that would last for a few months and not just a few days. And then additionally, we were able to maintain, because you're not heat treating the product, you're not losing ingredients don't get melted or mixed or cooked funny. So we could do an avocado hummus, for example, and you would still see the green of the avocado, the green of the jalapeno, because they weren't getting cooked, treated, or heated to kind of mess up the true quality of the ingredients. So it also created this really beautiful product where you could see all of the ingredients very fresh, maintain that freshness. And to this day, other hummus companies are now HPPing. So it's extended beyond meat, and also juice. Juice companies will do it as well. So that you're not messing up your product via heat and pasteurization, but you're still maintaining that fresh quality. But through that, we saw the power of, again, innovation, and we don't want to just follow the traditional path and do what everyone else is doing. And with that, we were able to grow nationally through using HPP. And then we really, through our, I guess, gumption, I don't know, that's the word that's coming to me, the gumption and the excitement and the passion for our product, and seeing it was so fun to demo the product and see consumers taste and their face light up. Because at this time, it was basically your Sabra and your Cedars. We were really unique at the time. So there wasn't these unique flavors and flavor profiles. So it was very energizing to see the consumer response. So we grew in the natural channel, became the number one in the natural channel. And then we reached kind of our ceiling that we were able to reach on our own. So then we decided we need some outside help. We need some industry help. We need some veterans in the business to help us get into the conventional side, because conventional grocery is so much different than natural. You have slotting fees. You have big companies that are led by Pepsi who can pay so much money into getting their product on the shelf. And as a little company, you just don't have all that money. So that was definitely one of our first, not one of our first growing pains, but that was definitely a growing pain to learn how to allow veterans in the industry to come in and say, actually, this is how I recommend we do it. And there was a little bit of pushback especially because there was a lot of younger, 30s, people in their 30s, but we've done it ourselves. But so learning to do things a little bit differently, to strategize a bit differently, to use marketing money and a little bit differently, to start shopper marketing, for example, to learn that the conventional retailers expected something different. And it really also encouraged us to up our game when it came to even our quality standards. So that was definitely a process. And one of the most fun days at Hope was Publix called us, the big grocery chain in the Southeast, and one of their hummus companies, I guess, I don't know, they had to take them off the shelves. They called us and they said, "Hey, can you guys ship to us like in the next 2 weeks?" And it was a party at the office. We're like, "Oh my gosh, Publix, what?" So we had a party, and then we got to work and we made it happen. And it was just so exciting. It was a celebration anytime we got into a conventional account. And so to continue to grow and grow and grow. And then we were acquired, and that was a whole other learning process as well. So there's a lot with a startup through those phases, but I feel really grateful now, especially to have had experienced all of those different steps.
Yeah.
From we're making this in a conventional kitchen to we are selling nationally.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's a lot more we could dig into that too, but I'm gonna resist the urge to double click on some of those. And I want to shift back to the sustainability and impact pieces. And I know, you touched on the cause, like the suicide prevention cause side. And then I know there are a lot of, sustainability initiatives as well around, the B Corp and plastic neutral certifications.
Yep.
So I'm curious, I think there's often tension between, growth and business logistics and costs. And obviously, like you said, there's a lot of challenges in growth and you have to prioritize different things. So how do you, navigate, or how did you navigate that tension between profit and purpose, or how did that show up for you in that work?
Absolutely. This is the question. Don't you feel?
It's always there. It's always
the question.
Yeah, I want to hear from you, but
yes. So through this process, what we learned is that marketing cannot be the leader of sustainability. It has to be the expression of sustainability. And so there's only so much you can do in the marketing world to be sustainable. And it really took a lot of learning to sell, I don't want to say sell sustainability, but to really show the impact of sustainability across the entire business. So it's kind of starting about it from operations, letting marketing be the end expression of cause and social work, and letting operations being the beginning. So really looking at, it's not just a cute Instagram post or a social campaign or a one-off, we're going to donate March sales to blah, blah, blah. But it really was taking it to the foundation of the business operationally and let's look at sustainability through all the key pillars of the business. And that's when we started to look at our packaging, for example. And with our high pressure processing, we had to use plastic. There is no way around that. And we really struggled with that. But we really believed, again, in that process and able to keep our food fresh and not use. So you're balancing, right? Like we want to maintain our organic ingredients. We want to maintain our high quality and our fresh flavor. But that means plastic. What are we going to do about it? So that's where we found we could do plastic neutral certification. And, the thing is, we also learned, don't let good be the enemy, perfect be the enemy of good. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Because there is we started this plastic neutral. We were so excited to feel like we were doing something where we're giving money for each amount of plastic that we sold in our containers. So it's very detailed as far as you weigh the plastic cover and the plastic lid and the plastic. We looked at our overwrap that we did for our pallets. Like every amount of plastic in our building, we weighed and then we accounted for and then paid credits for to work with plastic removal in India. And even then, people are like, well, how do you know it's not how do you know it's really doing anything? And it's just like, this is greenwashing. And so anything you do, someone will be like, well, that's not good enough,
Yeah.
And so, but it was something we felt, again, genuine to our business that we could do. And when we looked at the ability of profit versus purpose, and we're able to really dial that in and show that to the C-suite and show that to the board and show this is the impact that we can make. We're the first hummus company that is doing this. We're the first dips and spreads company that's doing this. People are really, and also we care about the fact that we are contributing to the plastic in the ocean. So this is something we can do. And it's not that crazy amount of a cost. It's not millions of dollars that we are doing. So when we really broke it down and showed the stakeholders what the actual cost was versus benefit, and we were able to move forward with that project, and I'm so glad that we did. So that was one of the aspects of looking at ourselves operationally and starting from that basis of what can we improve. We already have really high quality ingredients. We're already using organic chickpeas, so we're not using Roundup on our products. What are other things operationally that we can do? And then at the end of that is the marketing. At the end of that is the sharing with consumers what we're doing. And I think the thing is that and then figuring out on package, the amount of space you have on a package is usually pretty small. So what do you prioritize? Especially when you have all organic ingredients, all gluten-free, certified, non-GMO, plastic neutral, recycled, all of the things. So that was another thing, but I think I'm getting off topic a little bit, but.
No, it's okay. Yeah, that's it. I think there's a few things that, pick up on what you said there. I think like the piece around the quality of the ingredients, and it's like to have that and to have it be available in all these places, which also just availability of products like that to a broader group of people requires the plastic because of the HPP. And then because of that, like it's just, I think people often, like you said, it's like it's never good enough, but you getting behind the scenes, there's always trade-offs. And you're trying to balance those things, not just on the profit side, but also, like you said, on like the quality of ingredients and the sustainability side. It's really interesting. So I wanted to talk a lot about Hope Foods. I wanted to shift a little bit and just learn a little bit more, about what you're doing today, Starflower, and what was that transition from Hope to Starflower, and talk a little about that.
Absolutely. So I kind of found myself in a consulting role, shall we say, in a fractional role. And it's something I'd always kind of dreamed about, but never thought I could do, to be honest. And one of those, oh, that sounds great. Other people can be fractional, but not me. But that's not true. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And I found that I've been doing fractional work for about a year and a half. Yes, about a year and a half. And what I am loving is there are so many beautiful brands out there. There are so many brands that are doing their best and really wanting to make an impact and making incredible products. And it's really fun to learn from different teams, and then also to bring a different perspective from my past as well. And I love that collaboration. I love the sense of just seeing what people are doing and joining them. And I think just the purpose-driven space is, yes, it can be a kind of maybe a carnival of sorts in some ways. And also there's real heart behind it. People care. And so that's why I love to kind of take off after my experience, the judgmental hat of like, well, that's not good enough. But a lot of people really care and they're trying. And so what I love to do is, my kind of tag or key phrase is bringing the art and science of marketing. And that came back from my music days of being a musician, of you have to have the science per se of technique, of practice, of skill, and then the art of expression and presence in performing. And I believe as someone who is listening to music or at a show, you're really going to be most impacted as an audience member if you have both from a musician. You can have someone that really loves what they're doing, perhaps without the skill. And that's really beautiful, but your ear might twinge a little bit with some like out of two notes or some stumbling. And then similarly, if you have a musician who is playing note by note perfectly, but doesn't convey presence or love of what they're doing, or that if they're just playing a show, like that also translates. So what occurred to me with marketing and what I loved about the transition into marketing is that marketing is also art and science, where you don't only want to be data, but you have to have data, but you also don't want to only be storytelling and emotion and feels and vibes. So there is an intersection of both of those, and I believe both of those are important. And so I love approaching work with brands with both of those parts, art and science. So that can look like working with their brand team, their innovation, coming in and doing project work for sustainability, for B Corp. I've done some B Corp work and sustainability initiatives, and even just for brand management. It doesn't have to only be for cause and for social impact, but there's a lot you can bring even in a data project. So it's just having that mindset. So I get to work with brands in different capacities, whether it's project work, some retainer work, or like 3 to 6 month contract work when people are on maternity leave, or when someone needs just an extra hand for a short time, doesn't need a full-time brand marketer. But I just love connecting the dots. That's just my favorite thing. And I think as a fractional person, and having a different, not being in the weeds of the organization, there's more freedom to connect dots. There's more freedom to see things in a different way because you're not in the day-to-day politics and the day-to-day, just the grind that you have to get into when you are full-time with a company.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think I was just having a conversation yesterday about the kind of the two sides with like the data and the creative, performance and creative. And I feel that personally. I think, just sitting in that all the time.
Yes.
And that's really interesting. I wanted to shift to chat about brands, some specific brands. So I'm curious, who in food and beverage you think right now is like doing some great work that, maybe isn't getting the attention they deserve?
Yes. Oh, so many. My gosh. I'm going to shout out a former client of mine, but I just love them so much. And that's Traditional Medicinals. They are a tea company. And I mean, it's something to love a brand for just being a consumer of the brand, but then to actually work with the brand and see the true heart behind what they're doing really blew me away. And what I really loved about Traditional Medicinals is that there's a true care for the herbs and there's a true care for the consumer well-being. And so seeing all of the research, the herbalists on the team are master herbalists. They are very knowledgeable, very passionate about herbs and their combinations. It's not, and I didn't know this before working in tea, but it's not just, oh, well, this tastes good in this tea and then we'll add some peppermint because it'll add a bit of zest to the tea. But it's all of the herbs are very intentional. There's a lot of intentionality. And as well as with Traditional Medicinals, they also want to share the love of herbalism and the knowledge of herbalism with consumers. So they have something called the Plant Wisdom Collective you can find on their website. And they have just some teaching modules around herbalism. So as well as they're doing really incredible work in India and in China and with some of their ingredients. And the layers and depths of what they are doing blew me away. And to see the true, again, passion and heart and just incredible wisdom on the team was really incredible. So Traditional Medicinals, shout out.
Nice.
And also really, as a female, I mean, I really strong like support for women, really strong women leadership, and just really, it was a really beautiful experience. So another brand I'm really loving is Laird Superfood. And I really love the intentionality behind their products and using coconut, really using the functional mushrooms and really, really providing some clean options, for coffee and for tea and their matcha drink. And I love their hot chocolate. And and I think too, coming from Gabby and Laird and seeing, I subscribe to their podcast and listen to them. And so there's a sense again of how they're living their lives too, and wanting to provide a service to others and wanting to provide options for people. And just there's a sense of genuine accountability for them that I sense through their brand, and that they are both involved in the brand. So it's not just they're slapping their name on it and go do whatever, but it's a brand that I buy and appreciate.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like both of those brands.
Can I share another?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Spare Food Co.?
I have not heard of that one.
They are based out of New York, and it's two brothers. One is a chef, and one he did some. He had a marketing branding agency that we worked with at Hope, Jeremy K. But what they do is think is so cool. So what they're doing is they're creating essentially beef patties, and they're still using about, I think it's 10 to 20% beef, sustainable beef. But then the rest of the patty, the ingredients, is made from vegetables. So they're not trying to be a plant substitute for beef, but they're trying to still create a product they use vegetables that kind of like a misfits market, or vegetables that might be thrown away just because of the way that they look. So they are creating this product that has both beef and vegetables in it, and that it tastes still like beef. So for those consumers who maybe don't want the full beef experience, but then also don't want maybe a veggie patty or a garden burger, it gives them both at the same time. So, and I believe they're referring into to like college campuses, food service type of work. But,
Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. That's been an interesting development too, even just within the kind of plant-based, the full plant-based, obviously like the kind of imitation meats, and then the return to real food and combinations too that you're seeing out there. I think it's really interesting.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. The next question I was going to ask you I'm very, you could say, obsessed with AI and then learning and nerding out about it and using it in many ways, both personally and professionally. And so obviously it's a huge thing that's happening across every aspect of, life and work. And so I'm curious from your perspective, how has the rise of AI impacted the work that you do and what you do for brands? How do you think about it?
Ooh, CJ, such a good question. This topic, I also feel, is one obviously that's could be controversial, and where the benefits of AI can also be seen as, well, that's not helpful for everyone that's listening knows what I'm about to say. So, but I will say what I appreciate about AI in the work that I do is it helps me a lot when I'm using databases, working with different companies. Everyone uses different databases, different website programs. There's a lot of different data programs, data management, online virtual programs. And I really appreciate that AI helps me to learn those much more quickly, instead of having to start over and learn the Shopify platform versus the Square platform so that really helps cut my time. So there's a lot of potential, and I think the excitement around it is really interesting. One of the groups that I'm in, the Forum for Naturals, which is, I don't know if you've heard of, have I told you about the Forum for Naturals?
Maybe.
We'll have to talk about that, but it's this group of fractional marketers led by Ted Ing and sustainability marketers. It's fabulous. And there's a big AI sector of how some AI experts that lead different meetings and different reports and different workshops. So I think it's something I've dipped my toes into for sure, and know that there's so much more to explore with it. And also, at the end of the day, I feel like I can spot an AI social media post like that. All of the Chat GPT phrases are now just, oh gosh, so obvious. So, but I think it's a very nuanced conversation, and I think it's here, and let's use it for good.
Yeah. It's a good way to end it on there. Yeah, I think that it's definitely nuanced, and I think just to touch on a few things you said, I think there's definitely right and wrong ways to use AI, and we think a lot about how do we incorporate our knowledge and experience and perspective and taste in working with AI to get that balance of quality, on brand, but also the efficiencies that come with it. So it's new and evolving, and yeah, I'm sure we could talk again in 6 months, and it would be a totally different. What would come
Absolutely. Up. Oh my gosh, Exactly. It will be.
Awesome. Let's see. I want to, shifted to, so I have one last question for you, but before I get to that, I did want to just, tell people where they could follow up with you and learn more. And so I wanted to point people to your website, which is starflower.marketing. And if there's any other place you'd recommend or places for people to connect with you or what you're doing at Starflower?
Yes, I would actually not recommend my website.
Okay.
It's so funny, as I don't know your experience, CJ, as marketing, but it's so hard to market your own self. I feel like marketers, I'll market anyone else all day long, but for myself, oh gosh. And also thankfully, I'm thankful that I've been so busy with client work that the website has not made it to my list yet.
No joke.
However, LinkedIn, I have my name, Aubrea Alford, on LinkedIn, as well as Starflower Marketing on LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn is a great place to connect. I'm there and we can chat there. And that's cool. A great place. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So the last question I had with you is, looking ahead around really like sustainability impact, like some of these things, like you have, interesting perspective with Hope. Like you said, a lot of it where you're at the beginning, where like these things were new and coming online. And I'm curious, what do you see as the kind of next, trends or wave, or where you see like this going in the near future?
I see as more brands are doing more social initiative cause work, I see consumers really wanting genuine and authenticity from the brands. So I see the need for anything that a brand can do that in their cause and their social initiatives that can be truly genuine from their brand will make more of an impact, I believe. So even if that is having, for example, at Hope, we got mental health first responder training. So even within the culture of the office of really, and it's not something that maybe a consumer would know, but just anything in the heart and DNA of your brand and with the people that work at the brand that can own any aspect of the cause and of sustainability I think will make an impact and somehow will come out through to the consumer. So I think there's just, as you know, so much greenwashing and so much throwing stuff on a package and throwing stuff in a campaign, but anything brands can do that is, again, at the DNA level of their brand is what is going to last.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think it connects a little bit to the AI piece as well. I think a lot about, what is this going to look like as more and more things are posted and not authentic and AI generated, and what's defensible from a brand standpoint. And I feel like what you just brought up is a good example where if it's built into the DNA and it's training that the humans on the team are doing, that really shows that it goes a lot deeper than just a social post or a promise on pack.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. It doesn't have to be a huge, big expense and big program. It can be small. That's the thing also I want to encourage brands of. Even anything small can be meaningful and impactful.
Awesome. I think that's a great point to end on. So we've been talking to Aubrea Alford, founder of Starflower Marketing. Be sure to check her out on LinkedIn, not on her website, connect and send messages. And Aubrea, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, CJ.
Thanks for listening to the Missing Ingredient podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.